What is a monster? Can a person truly become a monster? Or is this transformation caused by something else? Is it possible that ordinary people who are like you and I can turn into a monster? Or is it by circumstance or choices? Let us examine this. Through dialogue, we shall explore whether people can become monsters due to forces beyond their control or conscious choice. Can anyone, even the most innocent people, become a monster? Let's find out. And if so, how do we prevent ourselves from becoming a monster? What path do we need to avoid at all costs? Is it possible that obedience alone can turn someone into a monster? Let's take Etchman, for example. He believed he was simply following orders. He did not believe himself to be evil, but rather following orders. But I ask you, if the following orders led to harm, do we not bear responsibility for questioning them? Must we not question the morality of those commands before acting? But what if the orders come from authority? Are we not supposed to trust the ones above us? Are they not more knowledgeable, more experienced, and more capable of making such difficult decisions? Tell me, my friend, can an authority person ever be wrong? Of course, they can be wrong. And if they are wrong, does blindly following their rules free us from responsibility? Imagine a soldier giving the command to harm innocent people. Should that soldier obey without hesitation, trusting that the authority above them is just? Or does moral responsibility lie within each individual, regardless of their rank? For obedience without reason is the first step towards abandoning our humanity. It strips away our personal responsibility, turning us into mere tools of destruction, detached from the moral consequence of our actions. Does this not suggest, then, that the failure to question authority is essential, part of becoming a monster? If someone in power commands you to do something, would you not question the morality of such a command, rather that's hurting someone? History is filled with examples of people who, under the influence of authority, committed acts they would otherwise find unthinkable. Consider Milgram's famous experiment, where ordinary people inflicted pain on others simply because they were told to do so. Why did they not stop? Why did they not question? That's the real answer. Is it the power of authority? It convinces people that they are no longer responsible for their actions. When someone above us takes charge, we often feel our moral burden is lifted. Exactly. So if authority can cloud judgment and compel us to act against our moral compass, should we not always be wary of its influence over us? Should we not question ourselves? Is this command just? Does it align with my own sense of right and wrong? Authority, by its nature, is persuasive, but does this absolve us from the consequence of our own actions? No, we should remain conscious. Authority can be wrong, and we should never surrender our ability to think critically. Authority's power is great, but is it our duty to retain our moral autonomy? To blindly follow is to release our humanity. And in doing so, we take the very first step towards becoming monsters ourselves. Can a person alone commit an act of cruelty, or does it become easier in the presence of others? Think for examples of ordinary people committing such acts they would have never imagined. What is it about being part of a crowd that allows individuals to lose themselves and act without regard for morality? The groups provides a kind of safety when we act as a part of a large crowd. It feels as if the responsibility is shared. No one feels accountable. Yes, that is how we lose ourselves. The group creates an environment where individual morality is replaced by collective will, a will that as often has no conscience of its own. This is the power of mob mentality. Should we not always should we not always remain critical of the crowd's influence over our own actions? Must we not guard ourselves from surrendering to the group, which may push us towards cruelty? We must. The crowd can make us forget our sense of right and wrong, and we must constantly be aware of that danger. Exactly. The path to becoming a monster can be paved by the influence of masses. When we are part of a crowd, we may feel invisible, immune to consequence. But in truth, each individual decision still carries weight. We must remain good, never losing sight of our own moral, even when surrounded by others who have abandoned theirs. The corrupting force of power. What happens to a person when they are given control over others? Do they remain the same, or does power change them? The Stanford prison experiment reveals that ordinary people, when given authority, often begin to act cruelly. Those who played the role of guards, despite being no different from their peers, begin to abuse their power. Why is this? I wonder. It seems that power corrupts even the most moral of individuals. Once we have power, we feel untouchable and may begin to act without concern for others. Then should we not guard against the temptation of power, knowing that it can make monsters of even the most virtuous among us? Power distorts our perception of others, allowing us to dehumanize them, to treat them as lesser beings. Is this not the path many triumphs have walked? Men who have begun with good intentions, but were led by the intoxicating nature of power. Power is dangerous. We must not let it choose or control us. Power in the wrong hands becomes a tool for cruelty. The transformation into a monster often begins with the unchecked exercise of control over others. We must be ever watchful, ensuring that power does not corrupt our sense of justice and morality. Lastly, can a person's belief in something greater, such as ideology, turn them into a monster? Consider Nazi Germany, where beliefs in racial superiority led to unimaginable horrors. Millions were murdered, all because of a belief that one group of people was inherently superior to another. How can such beliefs take hold, and how do they lead to such monstrous acts? Beliefs can blind people to humanity of others. When we are convinced that we are absolutely right, we may feel justified in harming those who oppose us. Indeed, this is the danger of examined belief. When we hold an ideology so tightly that it justifies the suffering of others, we risk becoming monsters ourselves. Should we not then always examine our beliefs? Should we not question whether those beliefs serve humanity or harm it? We must constantly reflect on our beliefs and ensure they do not lead us to harm others. Beliefs that were never questioned, never challenged. The road to becoming a monster is paved with such convictions, and it is only through constant self examination that we can prevent ourselves from walking it. So, the path to becoming a monster is not a single step, but many. It is obedience without question, trust and authority without reason, surrendering to the groups of corruption of power and the danger of unchecked beliefs. Each of us walk this path, and by examining our actions, our influence, and our beliefs, can we avoid becoming what we most fear most? It is through dialogue, through reflection, and that we remain human. Let us never forget that.